You may say, Mr. Steve, where's your uke? And I reply that it's right here. I hope today you'll join us, and together we'll have some fun. Okay, hi everybody, it's Skinner West. You're back with Mr. Steve. Thanks a lot for joining me. We're going to start by taking attendance real quick. Do we have Rohan? Yes. Do we have Jackson? I hope so, yes. Do we have Beck? Awesome. And do we have Deven? Okay, great. So now it's official. We can have class. Excellent. Okay, so we worked a lot on Imagine last time, and I'm not sure if you all have downloaded the tuning apps. If you haven't, that's fine. One thing that's really nifty about the song Imagine is that it's in the key of C. So you can actually, if you play the song on either Spotify or YouTube or whatever platform you use, or if you have the record or the CD, I don't, by the way, I don't have the record or the CD, but I do listen to it a lot on Spotify. The song's in the key of C, so you can actually use that C string and all the others to kind of figure out, is it in tune with the song as it plays? That's one really useful way to do it, and if it sounds a little off, then you can kind of adjust accordingly. So we're going to just hit the ground running and move on. I'm going to start with that first verse, and remember, when you're strumming, remember that old trick that I taught you where you hold out your hand like this and you make sort of an L shape, and then you imagine that someone kind of deflates that balloon and your fingers sort of pointing towards the floor, and then imagine you have like some little tiny bit of paint at the end of your finger and you're just kind of trying to flick it off of your finger so that it hits the floor. That's one way to think about how we strum. All of you have developed a pretty good strum technique, but it's always good to check in with yourself. The other thing to check in about is whenever you're making a chord, always ask yourself, are all the strings singing or are some of them squawking? And the squawk kind of sounds like this. It's the sound of a string that's just trying so desperately to sing, but something's in the way. Something, either your finger's not pressing down firmly enough. Got to remember that these strings, in their natural state, when they're open, they're not touching the frets. Our finger has to touch the string, and that string has to go against the fret in order for that to work. It's like a combination, right? Finger to the string to the fret. Those three things happen, and you get the tone that's supposed to come out depending on which fret you're on. Okay, so this kind of sounds a little bit like Ukulele 101, and in a way it is, because we're kind of hitting the reset button in a way, doing these classes in this virtual way that we're doing them. So it's always good to remind ourselves of some of those basic things that we've known for a long time. Okay, so let's start with that first verse. Imagine there's no heaven. So let's actually play along with me, okay? It's easy if you try. 2, 3, 4. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Okay, so that's a good little warm-up for us. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the verse. Okay, the verse is a lot more complicated. All of a sudden, it starts on F. Then we move to A minor, D minor, back to F, and then we get our G and G7. And each of those is held for twice the length of those 4 chords. So it's a 6-chord progression. Chord progression is basically like a musical phrase. It's a section of the song. Like an apple or an orange has little sections, okay? So here we go. We're going to start with that F, first finger on the E string, second finger on the G at fret 2. Fret 1 and 2, finger 1 and 2. That's no accident. Here we go. So F, A minor to D minor to F to G and G7. Okay, so we've got our F, A minor. All you got to do to get from the F to the A minor is lift off that first finger to reveal the A minor, fret 2, G string. For me, it's my bottom string, and for Jackson, it's your bottom string. For everyone else, it's your top string, right? Then the D minor is a lot like an F, only we've got the first fret here on the E. Then you're going to have the second fret on the C as well as the second fret of the G. I like to think of it like filling in that sandwich. When the F is just the 2 pieces of bread, the D minor is the full sandwich. Then we release that second fret of the C string for the D minor, that reveals an F. And then we jump all the way to our G major, which is open G string, second fret on both the C and the A, and in between those, third fret of the E string. 3, 4, G7, 2, 3, 4. So here's how it goes without the words. F, A minor, D minor, F, G, and G7, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now let's try playing it with all together, and let's add in the words as well. So 1, 2, here we go. Imagine all the people living for today. Second verse. Okay, so here we go. Let's try sing the verse 2 together, okay? 1, 2, here we go. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Second bridge. Imagine all the people living life in peace. Okay, great. So there we got through a really big chunk of the song, right? The second verse, the second bridge, that's sort of the midsection of the song. Now, of course, we're going to move on to the chorus. The bridge has such a great name because it really does connect two pieces of the song. So here we go. So the chorus also starts on F, right? You're pretty familiar with that chord. Then we're going to move to a G, then to a C, and then of course this is probably the most unusual chord in the song. It's called E7. Okay, so that's first finger on the first fret of your G string, your top string, unless you're Jackson or me. Second finger is going to be on the second fret of the C string, just like you would for a D minor, only it's a different angle. Then you skip over the E string and place your third finger on the second fret of your A string. So here we're going to do, there's sort of four parts to the chorus. It goes F to G to C, E7, F to the G to the C, E7 again, F to the G to the C, E7 one more time, F to the G to the C. Okay, and then if you listen carefully in the song, we haven't really done this in class, but right after that there's a real quiet on the piano jumping from a C, or I'm sorry, from an F to a G, and then back to the third verse. We don't necessarily need to throw that in right now, but hopefully you have your music in front of you, the Imagine printout, and you can kind of play along. So now let's try singing through that whole chorus. I'm going to check in on our time. Doing great. Okay, so here we go. Ready in play position at fret, the chord is F, fret 1 on your E, fret 2 on your G. The C and the A, of course, staying open. Curled fingers, here we go. 1, 2, ready, and. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Okay, so of course, the second verse is really all about world peace, right? The first verse and bridge are about living in the now and not worrying about what happens to us after we pass on. The second verse is about peace, nonviolence, everybody getting along regardless of where they're from, right? What country they're from, or what their beliefs are or their religions are. It's all of us getting along and sharing and being peaceful. Now that we arrive, speaking of sharing, now that we arrive at the final verse and bridge, this is where we start to talk about sharing and making sure that no one goes hungry, right? A brotherhood of man doesn't necessarily mean just men. It means mankind. So men, women, everyone getting along and sharing this great planet that we have together. Okay? So here we go. Let's try and sing through. You know what? Let's be ambitious. Let's just play through the entire third verse, final bridge, third bridge, and then our final chorus. The only thing in the chorus the second time is the last line changes one word. Instead of "and the world will be as one," we say "and the world will live as one." But everything else is the same. You don't, of course, have to play that E7 the fourth time. It's only 3 times in both choruses, right? That's the one thing that sort of shifts in that final phrase. Okay, excellent. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope you're paying attention and having fun. The cool thing about watching this video too is if there's a part where I maybe start before you're ready, or you don't have your uke, or you're not quite sure if you're in tune, you can always pause it and rewind a little bit and go back to join us in the song. Okay? All right. Thanks for bearing with me. Here we go. So, starting from that third verse, so we're going to be on our C chord, third finger, A string, third fret. 1, 2, here we go. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Woo, okay, we made it through the whole song. Give yourselves a round of applause. Hopefully it's not just me clapping right now. Hopefully you're watching and you're going to give yourself a little round of applause. And for your parents too, maybe they're giving you a round of applause watching you practice. I really enjoy thinking of all of you kind of in your home, and just hope that you're enjoying yourselves and getting some time to play with this wonderful instrument. The ukulele, as some of you, I think I told you, March 10th of 2010 was the day that I bought my first ukulele, the baritone uke, which I probably will be bringing in. You'll notice today I brought my tenor, which is made out of mango wood. It's a beautiful uke that I bought back in, I think, 2012. It was right around the turn of the new year. So that means I've been playing the uke now since 2010 for 10 years, just over. And I love it now maybe even more than I ever did when I first got it. So I just wanted to share that with you all. And I'm just checking in on time. I want to make sure that we're doing about the right amount of time, and that I don't want to make these videos too long because I feel like I might lose some of your attention a little bit. And again, like I said, if there are any parts of this that you want to go back and play again, feel free. Before we go, what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit more about our rhythm and our strumming pattern. So there's a few times in the song, especially in the chorus, where I'm doing sort of a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? So it's a down, 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 up, down, right? 1, 2, 3, down, up, down, right? Ba, 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 da, da. So like a triplet there. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And remember, one of the great gifts of the uke is that you can strum down and up, okay, depending on the song. And that's one of the reasons you can go so fast. Because you're covering such a short amount of space. And I think that is one of the most fun aspects of the ukulele. It's true with the guitar as well, but the guitar, of course, as you know, you're covering more space and you're having to move that much further across the 6 strings and a larger body instrument. So one of the things that I'm doing here in the chorus especially is F, 2 strums, right? Down both times. You can also strum up if you prefer. And of course, since I play upside down, it has a slightly different sound because I'm hitting those strings, even though it's pretty much at the same time. I am physically hitting them at a slightly different, a different order, right? So kind of fascinating. Here we go. So we're going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, da da da, right? I'm doing that E7 and going down, down, up, down, down. So we should all be practicing that a little bit at home. Down, down, up, down. So 1, 2, 1, 2, down, 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 up, down. Okay? So that's definitely something to keep working on. If you have a metronome, I don't know if any of you have a metronome. That's also an app that is free that I love to use. It looks like this. Metronome Pro. I'm going to try and line my finger up. It's right there. And the way that works is it'll help you a little bit keeping time. Let's see. Let's try and find. This is probably at about 100 beats per minute, this song. I'm going to guess. It's probably a little slower than that, actually. It's probably closer to like 80 beats per minute. And this is what that would sound like. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Imagine there's no heaven. 2, 3, 4. 1. It's easy if you try. So yeah, that's about right. Maybe 75, 80 beats per minute. It's a great practice tool to play along with a machine. Granted, it might feel a little bit like it takes some of the fun out of the playing at first, but over time, you won't even really need the metronome. You'll just kind of have it clicking in your head as you play. Another great technique that you've probably seen or done is tapping your feet while you play. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can't see my feet, but you can probably sort of hear it. Right? That's a great way to keep in time. The other great, really important thing is that so much of this rhythm is not necessarily using your entire arm or all this strength. It's really in the wrist. It's like throwing a frisbee or something. So much of it is, due to the aerodynamics of the shape of that frisbee that you don't need to, in order to throw it really far, you don't necessarily need to be a bodybuilder and have huge strength. It's all about flicking that wrist and sending it to your target. Same thing with the ukulele. It's all about just that wrist action. And as long as you keep it, I like to strum right about here where the body and the neck of the ukulele meet. And you're just kind of rotating. Okay, so I hope this has been fun. Thank you for helping me teach you. As always, I hope you're having a great Monday and that you're able to enjoy yourself and that you're getting enough sleep and drinking lots of water and staying healthy. All those things are very important. Okay, Thank you very much. Mahalo. I will see you on Wednesday. All right.